Hey guys, what's going on? We have another title update to check out today. They just released it earlier in the morning today. We just woke up, so big thank you to Glasgow for letting me know that this is out. Okay, so let's take a look at the new update. Just look at it from here, I guess, right? Okay, cool. Okay, so general audio and visual, added the UEFA Women's Champions League to the kickoff and tournaments, added the National Women's Soccer League to kick off, added 4 new women's clubs, update some kits, starheads, competition bios. Okay, I need 10 new signature celebrations. Okay, cool. All right, gameplay stuff. So let's take a look at the stuff that they did because this is actually pretty long. Players with the explosive accelerate archetype now accelerate slightly faster during the early stages of a requested sprint. Okay, so they're just making them even faster than they were before. Okay, interesting. The initial acceleration will be even quicker. Okay. Well, it's a good thing, to be fair, because I like explosive players the most. They've always been my favorite, even before with the lengthy meta. They'd always made the most sense. But they're increasing it even more, so pace will be more prevalent again. Make sure you use full meta defenders. I tell you guys this all the time. When intercepting the ball while jockeying, the player is now better able to take control of the ball instead of it bouncing away from the player. Words-wise, that's a good change because it's so annoying. It actually like bothers my senses every single time when I defend properly, especially when I have the cursor on my head, and the ball would bounce off my player and it would go back to them, even though I'm controlling the general area really well. Like, dude, sometimes I'm using the CDMs that are like the best in the game, and it just like I'll be standing right here, I'll intercept the ball, and it'll bounce off my foot and go all the way over there, and I'm like, what's the point of that, you know? So that's a good change, actually. Increased accuracy of driven ground passes made to teammates ahead of the ball carrier. Oh, ahead of the ball carrier in situations where the passer is under no pressure from defenders. If you guys don't know, the driven pass in general is only effective if you use a ball roll driven pass, right? When you don't ball roll driven pass, they're not accurate. They're very inconsistent, right? So maybe with this change, they'll make the ball roll driven pass similar to a regular driven pass, but obviously we'll see, because there's situations where you shouldn't have, like, doing a ball roll driven pass, that's a FIFA mechanic, right? It doesn't make sense that you can't just do a driven pass in a very obvious situation when there's no pressure on you, right? So it'll probably be a situation where the ball roll driven will still be the one that's the most consistent, even under pressure, but a regular one when you have no pressure should be more effective. So that's a pretty good change as well, right? Improved contextual logic when determining if a standing tackle request should lead to a defending player performing a standing tackle or a push-pull. If you guys don't know what this is, right? This is, if I ever did like a hidden mechanics in FIFA you may not know about video, I've told people over the course of the years that there is actually a mechanic in FIFA where when you press the tackle button, in certain situations, you kind of have to feel it out. It's really weird to explain, right? But in certain tackle situations, your player will actually become faster when they are aggressively pushing up against someone when defending, right? Because they'll be running and then you'll press that tackle button and then they'll kind of just have this animation where they just kind of push in front of the defender or push against them at the very least, which in turn makes them faster. So this might be a little bit of a nerf, to be honest, because that mechanic is cool, but it's not consistent, right? Because sometimes you'll do it and they'll actually do an actual tackle animation, right? Which is not something that you want. You'd rather him do the push. So this is a weird one because they don't have 2 separate commands for this mechanic in the game, right? So, but yeah, this change will result in more standing tackles being performed than pushes or pulls in some situations. There's an inconsistency to that because you don't have 2 different commands for it, right? If there was a situation where, I don't know, if you were holding like L1, LT, and trigger and R trigger while you are pushing up against someone and it would do that push animation, then it would be fine, but you don't have 2 different commands for it. So that's going to be an interesting one in regards to manual defending. Slightly increase the likelihood of a knuckleball shot occurring when requesting a power shot. That could be cool. Honestly, guys, they did like a knuckleball thing in one of the previous patches, And I don't know, maybe it's because like we don't really take these types of shots that often, but they don't really happen that often unless you're doing like a power strike, right? And the power strikes are very like straight for the most part. Like you don't really notice a knuckleball occurring. Like they did that, I think you guys remember they did that patch where a knuckleball can hit like the middle part of the goalkeeper. I've never seen someone score that one time ever since that patch, right? So that's why I'm always saying like words over what you actually notice, right? Decrease the speed of that the ball can travel at from a free kick taken from the outside of the foot. So they nerfed it. Okay. They nerfed it. Let me see if I can get you guys an example here. Because this free kick is very effective. Turam, Inception. Okay. So this free kick right here. This one right here. So it's like, and you get to a point where like you get the power. Like I even say like, oh, this is where the power is. So outside foot shot, distance that I'm at with the 2-dom card, this is how they hit them, right? So there's a speed to it. So I'm guessing that they nerfed it. I guess they want to try to make it similar to like you. Honestly, the outside foot shot being effective, it's weird because people don't hit the ball like that in real life. Let's be honest, it doesn't really happen, right? So in a way, the nerf is kind of good, to be honest. Like the only player that I've seen do it in real life has been Quaresma. Quaresma has actually done it from free kicks on like a couple of different occasions. I don't think Modric has ever done it, even though he's good at doing it. You know, like it's definitely like one of those mechanics that is kind of overpowered, but it's cool to score. Like it was good while it lasted, I guess, right? But you know, free kicks, not everyone does that. It's well, when I talk about the real life stuff, it doesn't matter because people don't play realistic anyways, because realistic football is random a lot of the times. So, you know. Let's see, increase the range, power shots, outside foot shot. Okay. Slightly decrease the range required for a defender to attempt to tackle without being requested to do so. Okay. Sometimes you just all trigger and then they just kind of just do that, right? Increase consistency of flicking the ball in the air if the ball was in the air. That's a good one because that's super inconsistent still. That one is still super, super inconsistent. In some cases, a player could take longer than intended to start sprinting with the ball when a sprint was requested. By the looks of it, they're making the running even faster than what it is. So make sure that you have full meta defenders. No sentimental value in the back. Lucio, Sergio Ramos, you got to do all that stuff, okay? By the looks of it, they're not going to change the park the bus meta, so it's going to be even more park the bus because the sprinting is going to be even faster, so... But it's always like that. Like whatever the meta is now, that's not going to change. People are already parking the bus. So goalkeepers could have sometimes anticipated shots too quickly. This was most noticeable in one-on-one situations. Honestly, nerfing goalkeepers from one-on-ones, I'm okay with that. Like the closer you are, the better it should be to score, because especially with overpowered defenders, like yeah. Improve referee logic when determining potential penalty kick fouls near the edge of the box. Didn't really notice that one too much, to be honest with you guys. In rare cases, the camera would not position itself as intended for penalty kicks. Never noticed that. When performing a tackle near the touchline, defenders could sometimes kick the ball out of play more than intended. Yeah. Well, that's just a general thing. Like I would just tackle and then it would just kick the ball out. That's a stability issue for co-op friendlies. Okay, so that's the new gameplay patch. So from what I'm seeing, it's a pace buff. Right, it's a pace buff, a driven pass buff, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And outside foot shot, free kicks nerf. Like that's like the main ones I would say. Tackles, like the interceptions one could be a really good one when it comes to defending, because that's really irritating. Like when I get the ball properly, when I'm defending properly and it doesn't do anything. I had a feeling that the main stuff they definitely would not have changed. Especially with the whole like park the bus situation, because AI needing to be good in this game is important for this game because their manual commands are horrible. Like they're just really bad. Like manual defending is horrible, so they need the AI to be better. Like the AI defending is better than you manually doing stuff because the manual stuff is horrible. Like that's how people defend, right? People defend in ways where they grab a defender, they push him out, and then they let go of them, right? Like they right stick off of them because their track back and their movement speed is so much quicker when the AI does it over if I had the cursor on his head and I did the exact same commands that he's doing himself AI wise, right? It's the same thing with interceptions, tackles sometimes. Like, you just letting the AI do it is sometimes way more beneficial. That type of stuff I don't feel like would have been changed. Like, that's going to be for new game stuff if they end up doing that, because that mechanic's been a thing for, I would say, the last like 2 or 3 years of FIFA next gen version. The old gen I'm not familiar with because I don't play it, right? But the next gen version of FIFA is essentially a nothing game because of the park the bus counterattack meta, right? So, but that's never going to change. It's always going to be the same thing. So you're always going to score these types of goals that I don't like scoring, but you kind of have to do, right? Like when I did the Foot Champs video, where I was using like the really cheap Portuguese team, I had some people saying like, oh, but you score like super ratty goals, and it irritates me when people say this, because it's like you don't play the game when you say this, right? Like, because these are the only ways you can score because everybody parks the bus. It's by default, okay? Even if you try to use tactics that's not park the bus, you will still park the bus. But most people will use even more defensive oriented tactics to kind of avoid these types of goals. But it's still going to be a game of nothing from this. The reason why I call it a game of nothing, guys, is because the meta in this FIFA is to honestly use direct passing to push up against defenders and always do this extra pass thing to score your opportunities, because it's all congested inside the 18-yard box, right? That's what the meta is. So that's not going to change, right? It makes the game like not unique. Like the attacking plays that you'll score, it's very hard to come up with like unique ones, because that's going to be the way you got to score all the time. Because if you're up against park the bus, there's no other way you could score. You're not going to score an open play goal unless it's from a counter attack, right? So just food for thought, right? It's just food for thought. But that's the patch. They did do some good stuff words wise, right? Some interesting stuff to look forward to if people continuously play the gameplay, right? So but yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this video today. I'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace out, dudes. Love you guys.